Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/campaign to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. If you're watching, Patreon, hi, we love you. And if you're listening and you want to join our Patreon, please do. We upload all of the videos there for this podcast, which I should introduce. Welcome to Don't Blame Me. Hi. Hello.
That's Megan.
And that's Melissa.
DBM Eminem.
Letters, acronyms. Welcome.
I don't know. I'm loopy.
Me
I've been up for
fucking too.
hours.
See, that's not mine.
You were up very early because you texted me this morning, and you already had an Instagram up by the time I got up, and I was up at like 9. I consider 9 early, but you used to wake up
I
at
was
like
up
7.
earlier. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. Mott's like, whatever happened to that? I'm like, I had a job, you fuck. Why would I be awake more hours of the day than I need to be?
You just transferred them to the nighttime. That's all.
Yes, but nighttime, you don't feel like, oh, I should be like everybody's work. Like, what am I doing with my life? Nighttime, I'm like, yes, I am laying down and eating chips in bed.
And watching TikTok.
This is an advice podcast where we bestow on you our wonderful words of wisdom, all of our years. Fun fact, we are the female versions of Tuck Everlasting. So that's why we give such good advice. You don't know the reference. We give advice like we give advice to each other, to our friends. We are very straightforward, tough love, but it all comes from, the key word of that is love. We're doing it from a nice place. If you are easily offended by bluntness and directness, welcome to this podcast. We're going to break that out of you.
Or you might want to leave.
Well, you could do that too, but I mean, give yourself some credit. Try it out.
Let it play in the background.
And as we say, if you let us know in your call, hey, I'm a Pisces, or hey, I'm just like really sensitive, go easy. We'll go easy on you. Mm-hmm. But you got to give us all that information. Otherwise, hey, you can't blame us. Oh, but if you want to call for an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Keep it under 3 minutes or you will be cut off, not by us, but literally by the Google voice recording one. So write it down, practice, time it out, make sure everything fits, make sure you have all the important details, because we usually are yearning for more details and there's a lot of things that usually you can leave out. You got to be 18 or over or have your parents' permission. Imagine that like someone calls in and it starts with being like, hi, this is Becky Sue's mother and she asked permission to call into the podcast. And then it goes, hi, hello, I'm Becky Sue. Can you imagine?
Well, imagining that name is very hard for a child, but
Becky Sue.
I would love it. I would love it if you're under 18, please have your parent verbally give consent.
I love that. Imagine you just like, you do the dad's not big. Yeah, sound good for sure. I signed the field trip form. I approve.
Do you know how many field trip forms that I forged just because I forgot to get them signed at home?
Do you know that was my unpaid job in middle school because I was so good at forging. I had a stack of all of my friends' parents' signatures and I memorized them and then we would pull them out for reference. We'd do that all the time.
Beautiful.
And they didn't care.
No, they didn't.
Because it was like,
it would be things that you just forgot to get signed.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that unless it's something dangerous.
Yeah.
But if your school's doing a dangerous field trip,
shouldn't be going.
Yeah. What's new with you? How are you?
There goes my phone.
I was like, what is that?
Is there something ringing or is that just happening in my ear? Do you hear a ringing noise?
Well, stop talking for a second.
I think it's my ear.
I think it's your ear too.
So that's what's new with me. I'm currently having a ringing in my ear. I haven't told them either, but I also directed one of the founders of Black Lives Matter, Alicia Garza. Yeah, so it's just like, and there's other cool people. And she was just, I don't know if you saw this other day, but she was just, yesterday, she was just trending on Twitter because she called them Vanilla ISIS. She said it on CNN and then everybody clipped it. Like, isn't that the perfect name? The perfect name. Because one, we know that Vanilla Ice is a Trumper, and then Vanilla ISIS, perfect.
The layers in that joke.
Yes. She said it on CNN just like straight laced and just kept going like it was nothing. But you knew, like you could see in her eye that she knew that she had did something.
She just dropped it.
Yeah.
I need to go watch that clip. That's fucking hilarious.
I have it. I'll send it to you.
Oh my God. I have to tell Monts. He's going to die. That's so funny. Wow. Should we get into the update?
Okay, so I guess my original call was about me. I just moved out with my boyfriend a few months ago, and I keep getting invitations to things from his family and also my family. And I don't know how to say no because I'm a people pleaser. So I was just calling for some advice on how to say no. And you gave some really great advice. Actually, you informed me more about the pandemic than our government has. So that really helped. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
So what happened after you called? Like what did you take? What did you do? Did you talk with your boyfriend? Like what happened after?
Well, I had been talking about him. I'd been talking with this to him, like about the whole situation. And he was kind of feeling the same way. We're both Virgos, so we're very similar in that. And we're not good at confrontation. So I was like, I should just call them and like get some confirmation that I'm not insane. And then like, we'll go from there. His family hasn't really invited us anywhere recently, so
maybe
I haven't
they listened to the podcast.
Say anything.
Yeah, they're big fans.
Maybe that would be a little awkward if they were. But like, I definitely agree with the advice that you gave me of just like setting that boundary now, because outside of the pandemic, it's going to be the same thing, Mm-hmm. So I haven't really had to use my voice in that sense, but if anything does come up, I now feel more confident to. I think I just needed you guys to like hype me up and be like, yes, it's okay.
We honestly feel like, so I would say a good 50% of the calls are people just like, is it okay if I do this? Like it's a lot of it is just seeking permission and approval and like hyping up, which is, I think, very, very, very accurate. But is his family taking the pandemic, like scale from 1 to 10, how seriously is his family taking the pandemic?
They're like out of 5. In the beginning, they were really, really strict about everything. And then they loosened up. Like they even went on vacation and we were like not down with that. Yeah. We were like, what the heck are you doing? And then his dad came back and got COVID. So we were like, are you going to do something about this? Or are you going to keep being silly?
Oh, shit.
They continued to be silly. So we've kept our distance.
Wow.
I really appreciated the advice that you gave me about bubbles because I had no idea. Like I've gotten so much conflicting information that I had no idea that just leaving your house to go to the grocery store breaks your bubble.
It pops your bubble.
And definitely have done that a few times. So I'm definitely reining it in.
Well, and it's also valid. Like that's the whole thing that like, that's why we call it like essential travel in those kinds of things that like people think that, and like, it's not a knock on you at all. It's just something that like, it is so true that a lot of people, and also people get overwhelmed with information. There's so much out there that like, it can feel really daunting of like what to like believe and what to listen to, especially because our government is like, it's
they
very
release
capital.
Things. They release things and don't explain them. And the thing is that they've stopped using bubble. If you look at any of the official things, they don't use bubble anymore, but they never explain why they don't use it.
Because now it's household, because they needed to specify that it's only people who you're living with and like who like that's like the whole thing was like, oh, the one person in a couple designated. And again, this is not like about, we're not talking about jobs, people leaving who have to leave because of like their work or anything like that. But like one person in the household should be getting the groceries and like, and even like Monts and I are in Colorado now. And like, that's still what we do. Like there's like, Monts picks up groceries. We do the contactless delivery in the back of the car, but he's the only person who goes. Like, it's not his brother. It's not his sister-in-law. Like, he's the assigned person who goes and does all of that kind of stuff. And it's hard for, especially like older people to kind of understand that because it takes a while for them to get comfortable. So they got comfortable bubbles. And then it becomes like, that's what they rely on is like that term and this thing that they now, it took them months to they're finally understanding bubbles. And it's like, we've moved so far past all of that kind of stuff. So, but I'm glad that it was helpful and that it gave you guys validation because it can be really hard, especially because it's not your parents that like when someone else's parent, like, people can feel an obligation to their parents and that also like, oh, well, my parents are what I'm assuming they're probably more more considered high risk than, I don't know if you don't have to disclose either you or your partner's health history or anything like that or anything. But like I'm assuming his parents are like obviously older than you guys and older than us. And so that's where, comes like more people who should be the most careful based on like where their age are, what their pre-existing conditions are, sometimes aren't. And then it can be hard to kind of try and tell other people how to be healthy for them. You know what I mean? And like opposed to making those choices for themselves, which we have to do at this point, but it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Here's the call.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. So, okay, this is probably not a question you ever expected getting. But my question is, how can I be more empathetic? I've been told by friends that I come off as very sociopathic, but I know I'm not because I do cry over books and movies and like things that happen to my friends and family. For example, I bawled when Archie's dad died in Riverdale. Yes, I know, I watch Riverdale. Because I was like, what if that's my dad? So I was like, well, maybe I'm narcissistic because I have a hard time making friends as I never want to go about asking them about their life, really. I just want someone to care about me and ask me questions about how I am. I tried to use Bumble BFS like at the beginning of the year before the pandemic. And I just had a hard time like connecting with anyone because I just got tired of like asking them questions. I wanted them to just talk to me about my day. So yeah. And I feel awful about that, but I just simply feel like I don't care about other people as much as I should. I just feel like I don't take their like emotions into account and I don't really know how to do that. I thought you two would be the perfect people to ask because I see how much you care about other people by your activism and the way you handle the pandemic. On the flip side of everything, I often find myself irritated when other people don't care about other people's feelings and don't take their feelings into association. So I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite too. Because here I am asking people like why religious people are sad if someone dies since they go to heaven and they think heaven is so great. Yes, I actually asked my roommate that once and she had to explain it to me because I didn't understand that was like a rude thing to ask. And I often have to ask her, is this rude to ask someone before I do it? My former roommate. Now I live alone. I don't know why I said it like that. But yeah, so if you could give me any tips or advice on how to take other people's feelings into account and stop being such a bitch, that would be great. Also, because of the roommate thing, we're not living together because I moved, not because like she thinks I'm a bitch. But P.S. I'm also a Leo. I was born one day after Megan, so I often think about you because we're almost birthday twins. But yeah, that's my question. So if you could give me some advice about how to not be a bitch and care about other people more, just like starter tips, I'd be really grateful. Thank you.
We're not shrinks, and I think, or therapists, and I think the only people that can answer this question are therapists.
Well, because you said your friends refer to you as sociopathic. I can't tell you that you're not, but I can tell you from what I know about. I have a lot of personal experience with someone who is a diagnosed malignant narcissist, which has been speculated as being potentially sociopathic. From you do display empathy for it, and you're able to put yourself in other people's shoes, like watching TVs and movies and stuff like that. And so we can't diagnose you with anything at all. I would say, though, that I think there might be a chance that you're a little narcissistic, but I think there also might be a chance you're just having a hard time reading social cues and interacting with other people and bonding on an emotional level. And the fact that you like asking your roommate if this is inappropriate to ask or not, that also displays a lot of awareness of that and like checking in with that. But if prior to that, if you've experienced like any sort of like impulse control or something like that, you might want to, I would just honestly go to a psychiatrist and have a discussion with them about this, and like very much not saying this as like we're diagnosing you at all, but we've had a call somewhat similar to this, and we had a Don't Blame Them where someone called back and suggested this, and I think it was so incredibly helpful that you potentially maybe ask a psychiatrist, a psychologist about maybe potentially autism spectrum disorder. That might totally, like what you're describing. I think I get what you're saying. You're afraid that you're coming across like as a bitch and like you care only about yourself or whatever. But I think if this is something that you've dealt with your whole life over and over and over again, and it's a pattern that you're not, that's not necessarily changing person to person, because like sometimes when you're having a conversation with someone, and I know if I don't really want to ask someone about their lives or whatever, I'm like, I just don't really like this. I'm not really bonding with this person. Like this just is not it. Like if I only want to talk about myself, it's usually because the person I'm hanging out with is not that interesting. But it's not that I don't find anyone interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes it can be like person to person. But I think if this is an overall thing that you're noticing, then I think that there's absolutely, I think you'll get the most clarity through a psychiatrist. And even if a psychiatrist is like, you just might be narcissistic, that's something that therapy can also really, really, really help with. I read an article in the New York Times a couple months ago, sent it to you, about a woman who is a diagnosed sociopath. And it was about how her relationship with her husband and her kid and like therapy and just her whole experience. And it's wildly, wildly interesting. And I'll send that to Melissa so we can include that in the show notes too. That I think that we have like a certain YouTuber who did a profile on another YouTuber with a lot of psychological terms, which Katie Morton was very great at like interjecting with, not diagnosing and all of that kind of stuff. I think people can use certain words as like descriptors and insults, which are actually like medical diagnosed like conditions. And so, yeah, talk to a professional about this, because I think you obviously display signs, you can display empathy, but it's just not necessarily in the situations where it sounds like you want to. Or understand why that's something that doesn't come naturally to you. Right. Like it's not necessarily something you need to fix about yourself. I think it's just something to like understand more about yourself and see why it is, and if there is something that you can do that makes you feel better about it.
Yeah, agree. And if you want to talk to somebody and don't want to hear back what's going on in their life, they're a piece of perfect place.
I was going to say, or start a YouTube channel. Just talk to a camera all the time, you know? I would also, you seem to be taking what your friends say really like without any sort of offense at all. But if that would hurt my feelings if my friends like said that in a way that like wasn't, but I guess I also don't know their tone. If, I'm also not a fan of people using psychological terms as adjectives. So in those situations, if I would let your friends know that like, hey, this is like, I hear you, what you're saying, but like, I'm not diagnosed with that. That's not an adjective. And
yeah,
I would prefer we didn't speculate if you are, you know?
Yeah.
That always gives me the icks, but it didn't sound like it gave you the icks, which is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, really not trying to diagnose or speculate or anything like that. But I think this is a great time. You seem like you really want to figure this kind of stuff out. And I think if we can spend more time focusing on why we do the things that we do and like the origin of them versus just trying to fix them like blanket statement wise, I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
To understanding yourself more.
All right.
Okay. Should we go on to the next?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I hope you're doing well. Love the podcast. All right. To keep things short, I'm just going to jump in. So I was dating this guy briefly for about a week, but we saw each other like 4 times within that time span. But I noticed that he gave me a fake name and was married and had the kid. I ended up confronting him about it, but somehow he managed to convince me that he was divorced by showing me like these digital like divorce papers that could honestly be photoshopped, and that he wanted me in his life and all of these things, and he was making a huge effort and whatnot. So I just gave him the benefit of the doubt and I gave him a second shot. Big mistake. We ended up spending a lot of time together. He was sleeping over like more than once a week, and I spent his birthday with him and even took time off of work to go on a long weekend trip with him. This was all within like a month and a half time span. But he ended up breaking up with me like right after that trip, through a voice note, which was super contradictory in a lot of ways. But looking back, honestly, like the whole relationship was super toxic and very manipulative and very much on his terms. And he continues to text me sometimes, like going like, I missed you and all of these things. It's just very manipulative. At this point, I've just kind of ignored his messages, and now I've actually blocked him because I do not need that in my life. And I'm very happy with that being done with. But the real reason why I'm calling is that the day he broke up with me, I actually noticed that his ex-wife, or what I thought was his ex-wife, had posted a series of pictures for fall, and one of them included his hand pointing at his ring finger with leaves on the ground. And he honestly gave me no reason to believe him or trust him, so I'm not even going to try to justify and say like, oh, it might be an old picture or something. No, I definitely think he is married now. But what I'm conflicted on is whether or not he was cheating on his wife or not. I don't know if he is cheating. I feel like a responsibility to reach out and tell her, because I know I would want to know if my partner was cheating on me or if my husband was cheating on me. But I also know, just like based on her social media, I know she deals with depression. So I think morally I want to tell her, not because I'm trying to get this man back, but it's more of she should know the full picture. But I also worry about my personal safety because he knows where I live and I live alone. So I think I'm a little concerned about this backfiring on me. So any help would be useful.
I think if you're concerned with your personal safety, then that's what you should prioritize and don't do anything.
Yeah. Until you said that, I was like, tell her. But if you're concerned with your personal safety, I think there's also a reason that she would be concerned for her personal safety. And so I don't think that not telling her will hurt. If you're afraid for your safety, I think not telling her will also help her safety.
Yeah. But
what?
The whole thing is awful. And what a manipulator.
Don't believe men.
Yeah.
Just like don't.
Yeah.
Like these stories of these things that are like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. Ugh, I can't. Like, if your fucking man speaks so much shit about an ex and like talks about how awful and crazy she is and all of that kind, no, if you can't take any sort of responsibility in that stuff, like you can talk about a toxic relationship, but if you like place blame on someone and like all that kind of shit, like I can't. I mean, I think like this will inevitably blow up in his face, but you have to, like we said, you have to prioritize your safety first. And like as we always say with these kinds of things, like you have to do what you would want what you would want to happen if you were on the other side of it. And I get how that can probably feel really frustrating for you because you would want to know and you would want to tell them, but like you have to put yourself in her shoes in the same way that you'd be afraid for your safety.
Mm-hmm.
That like that's the priority.
Yeah. And I think you should block her on social media too and stop looking at her stuff.
Yeah. What did he that makes me so sad because like obviously sad for you, but it's manipulating someone that you've like been married to, like all that, like
as a child with,
like how do you, like he could have told you on his birthday that he couldn't hang, do you know what I mean? That like it would have been so much less suspicious, but like that's someone who like gets off on that like you were spending all this time with him like around his birthday and going away and doing all of that shit when like he doesn't have that obligation to you, but he has that obligation to his wife and the mother of his child. That poor fucking woman must be so like, unless she knows, but like if he's this manipulative and shit with you, I'm gonna bet it's not like a very okay and consensual open relationship.
Also, like he gave you a fake name. You already figured that out.
Yeah.
So like, did you ask him about the fake name? Or did you continue just to call him by his fake name even though you knew that's who he was?
Wait, when did you find out about the fake name?
It seemed like it was pretty early on because she said what'd you say? She said that she found out about the name and that he lied, but then he somehow manipulated her to get back together.
This man is a serial killer. If someone can convince you after you find out that they've been using a fake name, ma'am, you dated Ted Bundy. Like, that's terrifying. Yeah. Like, not a knock on you in the sense of like, because like, you know, you've got this clarity now of being like, wow, holy shit. But like someone who is able to manipulate you into being like, yeah, that was my fake name, but like, we're still going to date. That's terrifying. That's so fucking scary.
Yeah.
See, if it was me, no, that's a lie. If I lived in this city that you lived in, I would not you, Megan, as someone who is, excuse me, someone who he has no idea who I am, I would fucking stalk that shit, figure out what he's doing. I'm not suggesting for you to do that. I'm just saying if you live in, not now, but in a couple months, if he lives in the Los Angeles area, let me know. Yeah. I will follow him with my car. There is no way he's not like doing. I think he's a serial killer.
People.
Fake name, fake divorce papers. You don't do. I mean, holy shit! If you just do that to sleep with women, you must be bringing absolutely nothing in the bedroom.
Right. So when you confronted him about the fake name, because you confronted him about the fake name, about having a kid, about being divorced, he showed you this. Like just miraculously have his divorce papers on his phone
in a PDF.
And showed it to him maybe, lawyer sent it via email. I don't know.
DocuSign.
But yeah. But like he had that. But what was his reasoning for a fake name?
I'm going to guess, and we need an update call. So you need to call us back so we can talk about this. I am going to guess that it was, my ex is so crazy. I have been so nervous. Like she attacked me. I've been fearful for my life. Like I just needed to know that I could trust you. Because that's where the manipulation comes in, that you've won now knowing my real name.
And then when he pulled up his divorce papers, did you check to see what name was on the papers?
Yeah, did you zoom in? Did he hand you the phone or did he flash it to you?
Mm-hmm.
Or did he offer to show it to you? And that's one of the oldest tricks in the book. I'll show you. You don't have it, shit. You just know that me thinking that you're saying that, I'm like, oh, well, he's definitely telling the truth.
I've got the divorce paper right here. Like, here it is. They do the little half flash.
Maybe he Google searched it. Also, what I want to know, and again, when you give us an update, we're not going to include it, obviously. I want to know what the fake name he used was. And then I want to know what the real name was. And are we even sure that that one was his real name?
Right. That's why I was asking about the divorce papers. But if his wife is on, is she tagging him in things? Because how else did you find her?
True. Well, I mean, you could, hey, it's us. You don't need to be tagged.
I know, but I'm just saying if he would have, if he's
in the photo,
or if he gave her the real name, that's how she was able to follow the steps to find the wife.
That's true.
Because if he just kept going with the fake name, and how did you find out that it was his fake name? I just have questions about this name.
So many. I also really want to know what it was.
Yeah, call us back with an update, please.
Wow. Okay. We're going to take a quick break, guys, and we will be right back. Okay, we are back from our break, and let's get into the rest of the calls.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I am a 22-year-old, turning 23, girl that lives alone in Los Angeles, which hasn't really scared me. I'm pretty independent. I'm an Aquarius, so I'm used to being super independent on my own. And I've never been freaked out by living alone until this week. So on my doorstep were 3 gifts individually wrapped with no note, no name on them, nothing to indicate who they were from or what. And so I opened them up thinking it was from my building manager or my landlord or something. And inside were 2 books. I'm looking at them right now. One of them says 52 questions for relationships. The other one says me, you, us, a book to fill out together. And that one is a drawing of a girl and a guy, hand drawn in. And then there was also a crystal. I practice witchcraft, so I use crystals a lot, but it's so weird. I don't have anybody that left these here for me. I called everyone I know. I called my landlord and was like, this is weird. There was no note left here. And it's making me uncomfortable and weird. How does this person know that I use crystals or what? And so I had him check the cameras. And then he tells me that the cameras weren't working. Hello? Am I going to be murdered or something? And then when the police come, they don't have any cameras. And he sent out an email to all of the tenants to see if they knew anything. And no one has responded. And the whole situation just has kind of put me on edge a little bit and made me a little bit uncomfortable. And I don't know if I should reach out to my landlord again and be like, one, for sure, get the cameras fixed, please. But also, I don't know if I feel safe living in this building. And my lease is coming up. I don't know. It's just, I need advice on what I should do or any other tactics to just feel safer. I have bars on all of my windows and I work from home and I never leave besides to go to the grocery store. So I don't know. It just put me in a weird headspace and I would love some advice. Yeah. Anyways, thank you.
So this is the third woman from the last call. He's a fucking serial killer. Oh my God.
Are you sure it was for you? Did the drawing look like you?
Because that is a good question.
Yeah.
Do you know who lived in the building before you?
Mm-hmm. Because I mean, like crystals, I feel like every other gal in LA is into crystals. So like them leaving a crystal isn't like a red flag for me. But like, are you absolutely sure it's for you?
Here's the thing though. It doesn't really matter if it's for, like, whoever this is for, he's stalking. Whoever this is for, it's inappropriate and scary and sketchy.
Unless it was somebody that like was supposedly expecting it. Like, what if like somebody like they left it at the wrong place? Let's say,
but
like,
no card.
Let's say like it was like a TaskRabbit thing. Like they hired somebody to go drop it off and they accidentally dropped it off at the wrong place. And like the person who actually like it was meant for, it was like texted like, hey, I just had somebody drop off something for you. And then it didn't happen because it went to the wrong place. But
I do like that as the option. I like that as an option. I don't know,
but I just want to give you like a little bit, because she asked how she could feel like a little bit more comfortable. Maybe it wasn't meant for you.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you an action list. First thing you do tell your landlord you need to get these camera fixed or I'm gonna report you. You have to do this immediately. And this needs to be done and I need to see this, like once these are done. And in the interim, I need the names and contact information for every person who lives in this building. And then email that to me.
You can't give that. You can't do that.
If he can't give, but he has to. You
can't give the name and contact information of everybody who lives in the building. You can't do that.
She's not on any of these. So she has. That's the thing that's like so fucking frustrating with this, which I don't doubt that like you're basically at whatever your landlord tells you he's going to do. So him saying I'm gonna email them and do all of that. So maybe it's if you know anyone who lives in the building, who knows anyone else who lives in the building, if there's a way that you can, through the people there that you know and trust, kind of compile a list of people or and find out who lived there before you.
Put up a picture of the drawing of the man that's in the picture, because that might be the sketch, like a police drawing.
It's a stick figure. Yeah. Oh my God. But no, this is this is so fucking creepy. You should move. You should 100% move. Yes. Even if it is a fluke and it wasn't meant for you and it was meant for someone who knew it was coming and it was like not a creepy thing at all. There's also like, if I sent a gift that could be mistaken as creepy, I would follow up so often with my friend until they got it. And if they didn't get it, I would then figure out what went wrong and pick up the present. Or
COVID. Nobody's going to want to come pick it up because of COVID.
But at the very least, I would have been like, where did you drop it off? And then I would have left a note and been like, I'm so sorry. I dropped a gift off here that was meant for somebody else. Like, not even asking for it back, just like for that. But I know, listen, keep lights on when you go to sleep, if that makes you feel better. Watch
maybe insert a ring so you have your own camera.
Get one of those. They're on TikTok, I've seen, but they're not on. I saw it first on TikTok, but they're like rings and apartment lock system. There's rings, but then there's also like apartment lock systems that you can do that are like safer and more secure for like apartment buildings that like don't affect. You don't have to reinstall anything.
You're talking about that thing that you put on.
Yeah.
I bought one. Doesn't fit my door.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
It sucks. Yeah. It doesn't fit my front or back door.
Damn. Well, if you can measure yours.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if you slide into my DMs, I will send you mine. It would be there in a day because it's sitting in a box. I'm serious. Like, I'll send it. And if it works for you, then it works for you.
Yeah, and you're LA based. So
that's
like,
what I'm saying. Like she's in LA. Yeah.
Yeah. If there's like, if you can think of, not to criminal minds this, but if you can think of people that you've gone on a singular date with, someone that you rejected, someone that you're blah, blah, any of that kind of stuff, if you can kind of make that list and try and narrow it down. And aside from, it sounds like you've done the list of all of the friends who could have sent it to you. If you can go down the list of people who wouldn't, that you're not considering a friend, that you wouldn't really think anything necessarily of, someone who's maybe had a crush on you for a really long time, or someone at anywhere. But I would also say, again, I come from a place of absolute paranoia all the time and watching too many crime shows. Switch up the grocery stores you go to. Take different routes when you drive home, and make sure your friends
She's
and family
working from home. She's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but from the grocery store, like switch up those things. Be aware of your surroundings, and if you do, you said you do live alone. If you have another friend who lives alone and is also working from home, maybe crash at their place and stay there and don't expand anymore. But if it was,
and this is the only people, like, we're only giving this advice for because she's in LA and you're not supposed to be with anybody outside your household. But like, this is only like dire need because this might be an emergency type of advice. Don't want other people to take the advice and run with it.
And also, I'm, as someone with mental health issues, I'm not giving that advice to someone who has mental health issues. Mm-hmm. Like, no, that's physical health. Killing people is also going to affect your mental health. Like, but in this case, if you have someone who is doing the version of what you are doing, and then only one of you will go get groceries, or one of you, do you know what I mean? Like, we'll do all that stuff. Like, you consolidate. Yes, do that. And then just to be, I mean, yeah, I think you do need to really like be very stern with your landlord too about this, and look for a new apartment and all of that. But if you have any, like, if you need
my
any
old apartment's still open.
Yeah, Melissa will move into her building. She'll protect you.
My freaking neighbor Dolores knows everybody that comes in and out of here. You would not like need to worry about anything because she knows everybody that comes in and out of here. She knows
Melissa's packages. She knows what Melissa receives in her closed packages. She's on top of it. Yeah, but if you need any sleuthing help or anything, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm always happy to do some internet deep diving. Because this is an unsettling feeling. Yeah. But yeah, tell your friends and your family, and don't downplay, like, do you know what I mean? Like, there is a level of like not succumbing to those anxieties because it's debilitating and really scary. And that's how I think you should live your life, like at your daily. I think you should do whatever you can to make yourself feel comfortable in your apartment and not think about it all of the time. But I do think you need to have a serious conversation with your friends and family and not downplay it and send pictures of everything that was sent to you and all of that. So then they're just like well informed. Mm-hmm. But this is terrifying. Should we time for the last call?
Yeah.
Hey Megan and Melissa, I hope you are both well. I am 18 and a Gemini. So basically in August 2019, my mum asked my dad for a divorce. It was quite a toxic relationship. My mum can be a bit of a Karen, and my dad can be quite controlling and manipulative, especially as he earns a lot of money, stereotypical white, rich, middle-aged guy, basically. Anyway, around the same time I was getting quite ill with anorexia, and my dad made some really damaging comments about my eating disorder, and it got to the point it was so bad that my therapist told him he had to move out in February 2020, otherwise I was going to be put into hospital. He moved out even though my mum had been asking for a while anyway, and about 2 weeks later we went into full lockdown in the UK. Because of how ill I was on bed rest, and we were shielding. We weren't allowed to go out of the house, anyone in our family. Anyway, in April, my mum sat me down at the table and I knew something was off. I'd felt the vibes for a while, and she told me that she'd met a guy in July of 2019 at a club and that he'd confessed he had feelings for her. She'd met up with him secretly a few times. Oh, and he is 28, so 20 years younger than her, and lives 3 hours away. I felt really confused at this and didn't really know what to do, especially as she's still married to my dad and still is today. Anyway, she then told me a few weeks later that she needed a break from my brother and I, me especially, and I understood that. And she was going to go stay with him, basically, even though we were in the middle of a lockdown and none of my family were meant to leave the house. Anyway, I knew she needed a break, but still felt very, reserved about this, not sure what to do. And we're meant to be hiding this from my dad, by the way. She's since then seen him several times. She's even brought him to the house, despite the fact that I've said very clearly that I feel very uncomfortable with him being here. Whenever she talks about him, it's quite awkward because she knows I don't want to hear it, but he's clearly a big part of her life. I really just don't like the guy, which I think is, I don't know if it's unfair or not, but I just get bad vibes from him. She says that he's never going to replace my brother and I, but I don't expect that. It's just the fact that she's breaking lockdown so many times, blaming it basically on my illness, even though I'm doing a lot better now, and saying that she needs a break. I understand that, but could she not do it somewhere else? Anyway, every time we argue now, it just kind of gets brought up and I feel very awkward about it. She just says when she needs a break, we're in another lockdown right now, she wants to go and see, let's call him Tom. And I'm just like, if it's so hard to live with my brother and I, why don't you just go and live with him? I don't say that, but it's causing a lot of resentment on my behalf. And I'm slowly trying to build the relationship back with my dad. Anyway, any advice on how I should approach this with my mum and if I'm in the right or wrong would be really helpful. Thanks.
So
she's a bit of a Karen. She's a bit of a Karen. I love your accent. I love your accent so much. I love your accent. I want to Ursula steal your voice. I'm sorry. I've never heard a British person use the term Karen and just a bit of a Karen. I made you Irish in that. Are you Irish? No, you're British.
Definitely British.
I made you Irish in my imitation.
She says
right
she
there.
lives in the UK.
Well, some parts of Ireland are in the UK, not all of them.
True.
I learned that when I went.
Well, hold on before you start.
You have a joke too?
Mm-hmm. So when he said that he wasn't going to replace you guys, was it as a sibling, as her son?
Thank you. That was my runner-up. That's not what? I guess that people say something kind of like that, but that usually, I've seen that in movies, but that usually happens when they're marrying someone who has other kids.
Yeah.
And it's this family won't replace my family, but him being don't worry, I won't replace you guys. And you're fucking our mom. And that's not something we do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Your mom is being reckless as fuck because you are high risk and she's just leaving and coming back and going with this dude all the time and bringing him back to the house. That is just irresponsible and disgusting and rude and uncalled for as a mother.
Yeah.
I understand that she's going through a hard time, but we all are. And she's risking your health to do it. And I know that your parents aren't divorced, but he moved out. They're clearly not together. They're not separated. So her being dating someone else doesn't really bother me that much. It's the fact that she's risking your life to do it.
Yeah. I do wonder though, if it's easier for you to be mad at this guy than it is for you to be mad at your mom, because you have a lot of empathy for your mom when your mom doesn't really have that for you. Yeah. And that's a really sad thing to say and a very hard thing to hear. But you being aware that your mom is going through a hard time because of COVID, and then also because her daughter was just hospitalized and is in recovery, she's having a hard time because you're having a hard time. And you're cutting her slack for that. And she's not recognizing that she's dealing with this in a way different way than you are. And she's like blaming you for all of this stuff and like making you question like your recovery and like even you having the ability, despite your mom being in your ear talking shit, even after that, you still having the ability to recognize that you are like making progress and like you are like working at that. Like that's like very remarkable and really impressive. But like, I think this sounds like your dad was shit for a long time and your mom was your rock, and now your dad's not around, and because now your mom's kind of a shit. And I think that's fucking hard. That's really, really hard to deal with. But I think it's okay to be mad and it's okay to be angry, and like you don't have to kind of stomach that. Like if you like want to be like, I'm pissed at you, say I'm pissed at you. Like you don't have to do this like internal monitoring and essentially parenting of this. I'm going to check my emotions and I'm not going to talk about how I feel because I'm taking into account how she's feeling and I'm just going to swallow this and I'm going to deal with this. She's not doing that, and that's not helping either of you. I think you need to say how you feel and make your stance clear. You've said you've made it abundantly clear that you do not like that he's there. And I don't know what your relationship is like with your brother. Maybe this is something where when this dude comes around, you and your brother, like you ask your mom, you're like, hey, we need a schedule. We need to know when he's going to come. Get a mini fridge for your room. Like have it so like you're not going out into a common space. Like you and your brother are on top of it, and you can kind of prepare for when this dude is arriving, even though they're breaking quarantine and it's like very unsafe. Like if you can stay in your room, you've got food, you've got like TV, you've got stuff to do, you have something you can make a safe place for you so you feel safe and comfortable. You should feel safe and comfortable in your own home, but if you can't at that time, making it so your room is, and so you have your brother and you guys can, if you guys are close, but having someone who you guys can who you can talk to about this, because yeah, it's frustrating. And also you have every right not to like the dude. That's allowed. Mm-hmm. You're very allowed to.
He's being reckless too.
Yeah. And weird. Like fucking weird. And like,
I'm just like imagining
they met at a club.
I know. That's what I'm imagining, her mom going to the club. Like
Ibiza? Was it
like
in Ibiza?
Even like at 28, I think going to the club is old.
Wait, that's actually my thought process was she met a 28-year-old at a club, and I go, oh wait, she's not even 28. Like yeah. I'm thinking like a 28-year-old's at a club.
But like she went to the club as maybe different culture. It's different, but doubt it, because no.
This is shit. And this is also like, I'm so mad for you that like you are going through recovery in a fucking panoramic and like
a pandemonium.
You're in a Panda Express going through recovery, and like this is like so the fact that you're like this just pisses me off, because like regardless of how long this is, how much of a process this has been for you and how much of a journey all of this has kind of been for you, like I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care if your mom is fucking tired. I don't fucking care. Like
we're all
your
tired.
Fucking kid, yeah, and your fucking kid needs you and needs you at the bare minimum to not be fucking reckless with their health. That's the bare fucking minimum. And you can't even fucking do that. Like that, it just pisses me the fuck off that you're putting the work in recovery and doing this, and like that your parents, your dad historically was not supportive and like was shitty. And then now your mom's being shitty. And like, do I want to say that I relate? Yes. But like, it just makes me upset. And like, it's it's about finding those things that you can do in the moment that can make every day go by smoother and make you feel seen and heard and make you feel the safest you can feel. Hello, guys. I'm Megan. Welcome to Don't Blame Them is where a listener will call in with their own advice from a previous episode. So they heard something and they were like, ayo, that applies to my life. I've been there. Or they're just like, ayo, I have opinions.
I got opinions.
Guess what I have? An asshole and also an opinion.
So this one here is from season 7, episode 2, where the gal, she had just had a baby and now she's been having sex dreams about her partner's brother.
Her brother-in-law. There's an easier way to say that.
I couldn't remember if they were married. I couldn't remember.
I don't think that matters.
I thought it was because it's not technically your brother-in-law if you're not married.
I guess. That's true.
All right. Here we go.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I'm calling to give advice for the most recent episode, the woman who is having sex dreams about her husband's brother. I don't have experience having sex dreams about my husband's brother, but I do have experience with intrusive thoughts. And I think even though that's not an intrusive thought, if she wants to apply some of the strategies I've learned to deal with intrusive thoughts, to deal with her dreams, I think it would be really helpful. So the way to deal with intrusive thoughts that's been most helpful for me is you simply do not engage with them. You just let them float on past you. Like, you don't wrestle with them. You don't think, oh, that's not how I feel. Where did that come from? That's so messed up. They happen and nothing. You don't engage with them. You don't think, you just let them float on past you. So I think if she wants to deal with her dreams that way, it would be really helpful. So like if she has a dream about her husband's brother, she wakes up and she doesn't think, oh, I'm not attracted to him. Why is this is so messed up? She just wakes up, has the dream. She's like, okay, and just lets it float on past her because it's not real. It's not representative. And the more you try to wrestle with it, the more present it will be in her mind. So I actually think if she goes to bed actively trying not to think about it, that it will make it worse. That's how intrusive thoughts can work. And I know that these aren't necessarily intrusive thoughts, but just my 2 cents. So thank you. Have a good day.
I think that's
good advice. Yeah.
It's also not something I would ever think to apply, you know what I mean? To this, that it does make sense. So good on you for making that connection that they might be similar in that way.
Yeah. Thanks,
I have nothing to add. That was great. Thank you. Well, guys, that's the end of our episode.
That's the end of the episode.
Melissa and I have been recording for so many hours. How many hours?
4.5.
4.5 hours. And I also got ready an hour early because I thought it was an hour earlier. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, leave us a review. Head on over to the podcast app. We do read them. And it is always nice when the first one I read is not 1 star, being like, this libtard, blah, blah, blah. Actually,
Cringe.
It's usually more of
so cringe.
Oh my God.
I can't,
so cringe.
They don't agree with anybody that has different opinions from them. That's literally when you have a different opinion from someone, you don't agree. Oh my gosh, definition.
Shocked. Just get ready. They hate all Republicans and they think all Republicans and white people are racist. So it's just not an inclusive environment for me. Somebody who doesn't see color and just loves everybody because Jesus told me to. I'm jizzing on you and not in a nice way, as if I had a dick. If you want to call in for an upcoming episode, you can leave a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Again, 18 or over, or your parents' permission. And keep it under 3 minutes. Write it down, practice, all of that stuff. And follow us on Instagram, Don't Blame Meme Pod. Also, our own individuals. And check out the Patreon. We have all of our videos live there now. It's only $1 a month. It's so affordable, and it helps us continue to do this show. Because as you can tell, we are not a part of Barstool Sports, so we do not have Millions of dollars.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, Patreon. We also do live streams twice a month. $5. Really fun. It's literally just like a Zoom, us all hanging out, talking about random shit, and just having a good time. And we love that community, and we love you guys, and we appreciate you. Stay golden, pony boy, and wear a mask. Stay inside. Don't kill anybody, you fucking murderers. Goodbye. Don't stop with your fucking no. Ew, it's too sexual. Stop it. I'm not looking. End the episode. I'm turning my mic off. Goodbye.
Bye, guys. I'll see you later. I love you so much. Goodbye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me, executive produced by Melisa D. Monts, edited by Katrina Henning, and music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out Real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent, and I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast. And with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple Podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.